Raman, he's Chief Technical Analyst at Chart Advice on the show, as well as Amit Shah, Technical and Derivative Analyst from Bob Capital Markets with us as well. Gentlemen, both of you, good morning. Thanks so much for joining in. Raja, start off with you first. How are you approaching trade today? What's the trade on the Nifty or the Nifty Bank that somebody can initiate today?
If you're looking at the Nifty is reaching a confluence of resistance as of now. And we reckon that Nifty had a fair share of run. And now it is at resistance. So it is expecting Bank Nifty to do the work. So yesterday you saw that Bank Nifty, despite some bit of nervousness, it still continued its leg up. And Bank Nifty has more room for around 200 points on the upside. So Bank Nifty, we would wager a trade on the index on the Bank Nifty rather than on the Nifty.
So buy it?
Yeah. Buy at current levels and buy on dips towards 200, 300 points lower. And you have a target of around 20,550 to 600. So that's the target on the Bank Nifty. So all index traders should actually focus on Bank Nifty rather than Nifty.
You know, talking about the Bank Nifty, one stock that we should probably have a look at is ICICI Bank. What a tear in yesterday's session, and really shot through the roof. Also, with yesterday's move, the stock has actually moved into the overbought territory. So while you have the overbought indicator, the RSI, the 14-day RSI at 70, it's already past that to come in at 75 after yesterday's big price move that we saw. So looking slightly overbought, Raja?
No, I don't think so, because the entire consolidation over the last 3 to 4 months, it was facing resistance around 315. And the strong move above 315 clearly indicates that there is an onset of a bullish momentum. And a long body candle which has been formed above those levels clearly indicates that it's a buy at current levels and buy on dip towards 315 with a potential towards anywhere in the region of 350 to 360. So it could test the former highs. So it's got a strong potential.
Raja, what are the two stocks that you're recommending?
Yeah, I'm recommending CAPF, especially Capital First. Yeah, Capital First, because over the last 9 months, it has, last 7 months since start of the year, it has witnessed continuous decline. And now it's given a good moving average breakout and also long body candle which has formed positive results. So a lot of positive news emerging, and there's also a bullish flag breakout. So that's why I'm recommending it at the current levels with an upside target of around 598 with a stop loss at 575.
What's the other stock?
Other stock is Tata Steel, especially after this merger news and also the waning down of the news on the trade tariff. Tata Steel is really picking up. And with the metals pack also showing some emergence of bullish moves, I recommended a buy above 589 with a stop loss at 580 for a target of 601 to 605.
Coming to you, Siddharth, we were just talking about all these banks. You know, we've seen earnings come out, and you know, most of them have actually started to show that they can look at improving their overall balance sheet numbers, improving the quality of the balance sheet as well. Do you think it's the right time for entering into these banks if you haven't already?
Yeah, so we have seen, we were expecting the private, so basically the corporate lenders, and in that space the larger 3 players to show some kind of improvement in fresh slippages, to show some improvement in balance sheets, which has been the case. We saw that in Axis, we saw that in ICICI, and today hopefully the same will be the case with SBI. So we have been positive on this entire space for last couple of months, and expecting a sharp improvement in the balance sheets. If you look at what happened with ICICI in the quarterly numbers, so if you just ignore the P&L items, if you see the fresh slippages saw sharp reduction. The PCR, which is a provision coverage ratio, shows sharp improvement, and post that, despite the company reporting a loss, people are now focusing more on the balance sheet and are looking at them. Now coming to the question of whether to enter now, I think there is still some steam left in these in the corporate lenders, and given that some of them have already moved up in the recent past, the upside from here may be limited. So, so for example, we have a buy on ICICI with a target of 355, which I believe is just 8 to 10% left from the current levels. So that kind of upside can still be seen in these stocks in the near term.
Interesting. Amit, do you have a banking name amongst the stock ideas today? What are the two stocks that you are recommending?
So I have a recommendation on Yes Bank in the private banking space. I believe the stock has been witnessing a very good amount of consolidation time-wise and the price-wise around 380 to 375 odd band. If you look at the broader structure, I believe on a quarterly chart, the stock is poised for a fresh breakout and a fresh momentum can be seen from here on from a short-term to medium-term perspective. So I believe one can trade with 375 as a closing stop loss and can expect an immediate target towards 400. And eventually, looking at the broader structure, I believe the stock potentially can head towards 425 to 430 levels on the higher side. My second recommendation is buying on Infosys. Now the stock since November has been making a higher top higher bottom formation after witnessing some kind of a correction before November, and looking at the broader IT space, the stock has slightly been underperformer, but now I believe looking at the broader structure, the time for the Infosys can be seen in a much steeper positive momentum where trading around 1380 1390 odd band, the stock has a very good risk to reward on the downside, where on the downside 1350 will act as a very good support for the stock, and moving above 1390 the stock can see a quick momentum towards 1450 to 1470 levels on the higher side.
Okay. Stock that did really well in trade yesterday was Page Industries, up about 6%, can do no wrong, never mind the valuations, keeps on finding buyers, 7% in trade yesterday. Siddharth, I'm sure you guys have coverage here. What are you telling your clients who have held the stock for long to do now? Take some money off the table because of the valuation scare, or stay put?
Yeah, Neeraj. So we have been covering Page for quite some time now, and it is one of the preferred picks in the Indian consumer space. And thankfully, the company has been delivering quarter on quarter. And even this quarter, the numbers were in line with our expectation, and obviously those expectations were pretty good. The company delivered on those numbers. So the only concerning factor right now, as I was highlighting earlier as well, is the valuation. So so the current price, the stock is trading at 60 times on FY20. And at these valuations, we see that the valuations may be full, and there may not be much upside in the near term. Having said that, this is a stock where you may not go short, or so this is delivered consistently. So if you see last 5 years, the earnings CAGR has been 30% plus, but the stock price CAGR has been 50% plus. Our expectation going forward, again a 30% plus earnings CAGR. Whether the stock price can match up to its past performance may not be the case, but nonetheless a 30% plus earnings growth, the stock needs to be in the portfolio. So fresh entry may not be advised at these levels, but investors holding on to the stock can hold on for maybe further upside. There may not be some movement or maybe a time correction for maybe 2 to 3 months, but I think this is a stock which should be part of the core portfolio.
All right, stay on with us. 10 seconds left to go for market pre-open. Remember, the initial cues, now most of the indices in the red, in fact all of them in the red. You've got China also dipping down. SGX Nifty there down about 4 odd points, 11,484. Market pre-open there on your screens. Nifty marginally lower, 13 odd points, 11,452. So moving slightly further away from that milestone 11,500 mark, but there's a whole day of trade left. Sensex is up by about 0.25%. Coming to some of the losers on the index first, you've got a Bharti Infratel which is down about 5.5% in pre-open trade. That's at 275. Bajaj Finserv is down 1.75%. ONGC 166, that's down 1.5%. From the oil and gas pack, again, NARAL today takes a dip. 1200 is where the stock's trading at. Kotak Mahindra Bank 1266. You've got the likes of Dr. Reddy's, which is down about 0.7%. HCL Tech, HDFC Bank. We've got Sun Pharma, which are also losing some sheen in today's trade. Amongst the gainers, Cipla is doing okay for itself, up about 3.5%. 639 for the stock. Vedanta, Adani Ports, HPCL bumps up 282 on the stock. Z is up about 0.7%, 526. Coal India, Axis Bank, HCL Technology moves into the green now. You've got about 6% gains coming in there. Indian Oil, Yes Bank, TCS, Wipro, the IT pack as a whole doing good. Hindalco ahead of numbers. Pre-open session ticks at least pointing towards a positive start. Tata Steel, Maruti, Lupin gains of about 1/3%.
Yeah, Vakrangi, Devina, that stock looking like starting off really well. Locked in at 20% upper circuit right now in the first 1 minute. might change, but seemingly not. I think just the price that we're talking about would probably lead to the stock staying up on this place for a while now. So let's wait and watch what happens there. There seems to be some traction in the education names. Z-Learn, Navneet, etc. seem to be doing okay. But let's wait and watch if these are early days or whether there's really some method to the madness. As we speak, the upper circuit, of course, comes off from Vakrangi. But what's locked on a lower circuit is Jet Airways. And out here, I mean, starting off 10% lower. Remember, it's out of the F&O band today, so there'll be some trading positions that could be taken on Jet Airways as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if it starts off really poorly. Collateral damage, Interglobe Aviation looks like starting off on a negative note, down about 5%. Maybe SpiceJet could have some tremors too. But you know, what's Jet's pain need not necessarily be the pain that is extended to Interglobe and SpiceJet, because these could well be company-specific issues. So please don't try and believe that this is a sectoral issue which could be leading to Jet Airways doing what it is doing. So please differentiate between the two. Having said that, 2 or 3 numbers that I just want to talk about. The quarterly releases from these 2 or 3 stocks were fairly decent. So we had good numbers coming out from JSPL, good numbers coming out from Zensar Tech. Both of those should come up, and let's see if there's some reaction thereof. No marginal reaction on JSPL, not quite a Nalco. And Zensar Tech, I thought the numbers looked fairly okay. Let's see if this lasts. Last but not the least, Aurobindo Pharma. The number is slightly lower than estimates. Actually, even Eicher Motors, we forgot the big boy. Aurobindo, no big reactions. Eicher, par for the course quarter, nothing too dramatic. Starts off on a placid note. The rupee and the bond yields, lastly, just bring those up. Some weakness in the currency yesterday. Started off at about 68.45 or thereabouts, 68.82 currently. So some weakness in the last 24 hours for the rupee. And the bond yields, let's see what they are doing, 7.73. It's a bit of a pullback out there.
All right, that's the pre-open text for you. We're coming back in about a few minutes to take the market open as well. But coming to you, Siddharth, as we enter into trade today, and particularly now that we've seen most of the earnings come out, how would you characterize this earnings season to be, and whether or not a portfolio churn is recommended?
Yeah, Navneet, so the earnings season has so far been mostly, in a broader sense, mixed, but mostly in line. There has been quite a few misses, but there have been quite a few surprises as well. So largely mixed, in line. If it is in line, then it is on path to a 20% plus earnings growth for the full year. So that gives some comfort in terms of the overall earnings picture. Coming to the portfolio restructuring, yes, I have been highlighting that the larger names are seeing valuations which are are stretched or on the higher side of their historical bands. So there needs to be some profit taking there, and moving on to names where you see good quality companies, earnings and valuation comfort. So there are stocks in the mid cap. So we are started recommending some of the quality mid cap names which could do well. Some of them that especially post the results that we like. One of them is L&T Finance Holding. We have a buy rating with a target price of 240. The company came out with very good numbers. The Q1 PAT grew almost 70%. The AUM growth was 27%. And if you see healthy return ratios, strong management, valuations at 2.2 times. We believe the stock could trade at almost 3 times on FY20 basis. So that's a buy from our side. Another stock we like post the results is from the mid-cap IT space, Tata Elxsi. Again, a strong quarter numbers, a strong name with a good management background, healthy return ratios and decent valuation. So again, a buy with a target price of 1700 from the mid-cap name.
There's some strength in Z-Learn, as I said, 5% higher. Bliss GVS Pharma has some 18% uptick. Maybe that will change. A stock that's done really well in the last few days is Time Technoplast, up about 4% in trade today as well. So good going for that. And Zensar Tech continues to rise and shine, 2% higher. Any thoughts here, Siddharth? Zensar Technologies or any other mid-cap IT stock that you're recommending people to buy?
So I just highlighted Neeraj, Tata Elxsi is among the mid-cap names. Zensar Tech, the results came in yesterday. The con call is there today where we'll get more clarity. However, the results overall, the revenue were for Zensar were higher than our expectation. Revenue grew 6.6% on a Q-on-Q basis. However, if you see on the margin front, there was slightly miss. EBITDA margins expanded by 100 basis points on a sequential basis to 12.9. Our expectation was about 13.8%, and we expected a 200 basis points sequential improvement. This looks primarily, the miss was due to higher on-site hiring, and PAT at 820 million was marginally below our expectation of 836. Nonetheless, we feel Zensar is among the major beneficiaries of the lead that it has taken in the digital space, and we like the name. We have a buy rating on Zensar with a target price of 1500. We will take a review post the conference call today, and may review our target price hence.
All right, that's Zensar Technologies. That's up about 2% right now, 12.19 on the stock. I just want to see some weekly performances for stocks like VIP, PVR, the likes of Asoba on the back of numbers. The stock's done well actually, 11% for the week for Soba. VIP has done 21% this week. PVR has done 16% this week, and all of the banks there this week have had double-digit gains. Amit, any of these stocks that you track, PVR, VIP, Soba Developers, the smaller banks, Nalco had pushed itself higher in yesterday's session by 7%. Weekly gains also coming in on the stock.
Right. So out of the entire this space, I like VIP Industries. The stock has been consistently making a higher top, higher bottom formation since the breakout above 230 odd levels, and that too in a quick momentum. However, looking at this level, I'm not comfortable with the risk to reward at this level, so I would wait for some kind of a dip to take a fresh entry onto it. PVR too, after witnessing a breakdown post below 1250 odd level, it is still hovering around those band. So till the time it is not crossing above 1400 decisively, I will wait for this kind of counter.
Well, 8 minutes have the pre-open rates have settled. We are likely to start off on a very flat note on the Nifty and the Sensex, as well as for the Bank Nifty. But the stock of the morning arguably has to be Jet Airways. That stock is likely to start off lower. Remember, out of the FNO ban, and therefore additional positions can be taken in the session today as well. And not surprising when such things happen and results get pushed without there being clarity on what the nature of the observations were. I think the market would be unhappy and unnerved. Really doubt that there could be a sharp recovery of any sorts, despite the lows at which this must be trading at 52-week lows now.
Yeah, and management commentary also, Mr. Goel saying that he's really embarrassed that shareholders have really not made money on the counter. He said that it was their inability to pass on the cost increases that they have seen onto in the form of higher ticket prices. So their financial management in that sense was a little bit off. Yeah,
and it just goes to show, I think a lot of skeptics were questioning why is it that people believe that Indian aviation has suddenly turned secular. I think that skepticism is well founded. Jet Airways is at 52-week lows. Indigo is off almost 33% from the recent highs. SpiceJet 33 or 40% off from recent highs. So it's not a happy hunting ground for any of these names, and goes to show that it'll probably stay that way for Jet Airways, at least for the near term.
So while today actually could be Jet alone, the industry as a whole is plagued by these problems. So.
That's true. Well, minutes away from market open, let's tell you all that you need to know to stay ahead in trade today. Let's start off with earnings. Watch out for the big Nifty results today. State Bank of India, Hindalco and GAIL, followed by other key earnings like Apollo Hospitals, Bosch, as well as Sun TV.
Eicher Motors, AIA Engineering and Liberty Shoes are amongst those companies that had a strong June quarter, while PNB Housing, Aurobindo Pharma and VA Tech Wabag disappoint.
Sun Pharma's Israeli subsidiary Taro reports weak quarter. Net profits fell as much as 24%. Margins too have contracted.
There were a few reported mixed numbers in the June quarter. Those include JSPL, Coffee Day, Himatsingha Seed and Iris Life.
SEBI cracks the whip on Wakrangi promoters, asking the promoter to make an open offer within 45 days. The censure comes for violating takeover norms in 2013.
Lastly, Jet Airways puts the market in waiting lounge, delays Q1 results as audit committee did not recommend the results for board approval.
Well, that remains the stock of the morning, to be honest. Let's wait and watch what happens there. We already got verdict on Page Industries, ICICI Bank and Hindalco. A quick thought on some of the small size names, Raja, from you. Tiny Toons, PSU banks or otherwise, any stock that stands out for you?
Yeah, from the two-digit banking space, I would like to go in with Federal Bank. Why is that? Is because after declining for almost 3 to 4 months, it's forming a inverted head and shoulder, and also it's given a moving average breakout. And the formation of positive development even on the momentum indicators like MACD clearly indicates that there is an upside of around 10 to 12 rupees or above 90. So one could actually look at it from a positional play.
I want to talk about another stock, Emphasis.